Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Anatomy of the Trend on the Pullback Edge. In this video, I want to walk you through a real time recent example of how trends are born, tested, doubted, and then eventually reassert themselves using the ASX listed Compumedics as our case study for this week. This is not about fundamentals, news, or forecasts. This is purely about price behavior and what it teaches us as traders. Now, before we proceed, a quick disclaimer: everything on this channel is for education and analysis purpose only. The analysis is based on publicly available market data and represents general market observations. It is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, and it does not constitute a buy or sell recommendation. So let's dive in and get to our case study for this week: Compumedics. Now, this is the structure of our presentation today. We'll be first looking at why Compumedics, and then we'll be looking at the bigger picture, where Compumedics came from, what we can derive from the charts, and in the end, the three big takeaways. So why Compumedics? The way that I started my analysis, or the way that I do the analysis, is I went about looking for the top performers on ASX for this week, and these are the Australian stocks that increase the most in price. This is showing, and this is just a readily available screener on TradingView. It is showing the daily change, the performance over a week, over a month, 3 months, 6 months, year to date, 1 year, 5 years, and beyond. And Compumedics is, as you can see, this came at the top with a very healthy gain over 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 3 to 6 months, and even a year. Another reason is that this belongs to the healthcare industry, which, as seen from my other weekly analysis videos, seems to be gaining momentum. So now let's look at the big picture. So this is the big picture. We are looking at the daily time frame for Compumedics, and there are a lot of inferences that I can just derive looking at this chart. But what we'll do is we'll dive in and we'll go to the actual chart. Hello friends, so we are here on the chart of Compumedics. This is a daily chart. Now what you're seeing is the Ichimoku indicator on this one, but the chart looks very cluttered. Can't make any sense out of this. So what we'll do is we'll remove all the distractions and go to the bare bone price action. Now this looks very clean, and there are many things that I can see immediately while looking at this chart itself. I can see a top here. Let me just draw a top line from here. I can see another top in between, but before that I see a bottom here. I'll top another line here. In between I see these. This is a very one zone, I would say. In fact, I should be drawing it as a zone. That this is a zone which I'm seeing from this top to this bottom, around the midway part of this, and I can see. Now what we see here is quite a bit of inferences that we can just immediately draw from this itself as well. But what we see is that there are three same tops, right? So this is 1, 2, and 3. So this was the immediate resistance that the price had to break, wherein it was facing the resistance after dropping in from here and making this corrective move. However, another positive thing which we were seeing here is that the bottom which the stock had formed after this big drop, which was in January 2024, this low has not been broken. Now this is a very positive sign whenever we are looking at the consolidation. And if I just take this all out, what I can do is I can just take my take the rectangle and just draw it out here, right? So what we are seeing here is that this is the low which had been formed, And because this low had not been broken, so what I'll do is I'll just raise this up, and I can clearly see that once it did try to break below this, but this was kind of a bear trap. So in this day, during this day, the stock would have moved down, but at the end of the day, towards the end of the day, it would have just closed back into the range, and then we saw a big push up again to the resistance where earlier also it had made a resistance. And now let's see what we can analyze using the some other tools that we have in our kitty. So what I'll be taking the Elliott ABC pattern. So what I see from here is, from this middle top, I can see an ABC pattern, a clear ABC pattern, which is this being the A, 0A and C. So this is a clear correction wave ABC pattern. And now once this bottom has been established, what I do is I draw again the Elliott impulse 1 2 3 4 5 wave pattern. So this is my 0 starting point, this is my 1, that's 2. Now my third has to be above the 1, and so I can't be using this as 3, right? So this is the 3, which is clearly a 1 2 3, and then the fourth can go down below the 1, but it's ideal it stays between 1 and 2, which is, now I can use this point, I can use this point, I can use this point. Now why I'm using this point is because this range, the fifth, which has to go above the 3, so I take this point. And now what we are right now is in a clear fifth wave of the Elliott wave, right? So what we are seeing here is the price had corrected. Now first of all, it was in a very tight consolidation for how much? This had been in this tight consolidation for almost 499 days. So after 499 days, it broke through that resistance. After it breaking through that resistance, it did not go back to the same levels and gave a very healthy 50% retracement from the high of this. So if I have to draw a trend base fib as well, if I take this point, and if I come out here, so this is almost like a 50% retracement of this trend. So this is a healthy retracement, very healthy retracement, and this was evident. And this was, once this really finds support, and we can see the all this time it had been in the upper and lower part of the rectangle, but once it broke out, it has not gone down to this level at all. So this would have been an immediate indication for us to, if we had to kind of been tracking this and to make a position, then this would have been a good point to make that position. And what do we see now? It's clearly it has broken out of this consolidation zone. And what we should be now seeing is that it should be consolidating here. The measured target from this low that it had made. So if sorry, this is the wrong one. If I use this one, so the measured move for this would be approximately around 0.1, which is like around 23% from here. That's a measured move from looking at this range. But what we would be expecting now is that this resistance, because if we look at the bigger picture, it has crossed a very long-term resistance, right? So what we'll be expecting is that this line, instead of line, I'll just build a rectangle here, which is like a zone, and we would be expecting that this should be finding support around this area before making an up move. So this is we are just looking at what the data is showing us and making some analysis out of that. So with this, friends, we come to the close of this analysis, and let's see what the key takeaways are. So the key takeaways from the move of Compumedics has been that the market trends don't move in a straight line, right? They move, they rest, they breathe, and then they move again. So trends pause more often than they reverse. The second takeaway is that the consolidation is the market's way of transferring ownership. And when I say transferring ownership, that is the transferring the ownership from the weak holders to the strong holders. The third is that the best trends usually look boring before they look. So if you wait for the excitement, you will always be late. If you learn to sit through the consolidation, you are way too early. Now, where to next? So right now, this is not prediction, but right now, Compumedics is no longer in that consolidation phase that we were seeing it tied into a rectangle range. Price has definitely moved away from the value, momentum has expanded, and the market has shown its hand. From an anatomy perspective, the base has been built, the trend has reasserted, and the character of the price has changed. What happens next is up to the market, but the structure is no longer. So we are back on the chart, and we can clearly see that the character of the price has definitely changed. What happens next is up to the market. Now, this is why studying anatomy of a trend matters. No headlines, no opinions, but how price behaves when nobody is watching. If this video helped you see trends differently, please do let me know, and I'll see you in the next pullback edge breakdown next week.